Welcome to the podcast where we're going to talk about stuff. I don't know what stuff we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about stuff.
And things.
Definitely some things.
I left my Coke over there.
So being as it's sort of a, I don't know, second week of the year. It's kind of boring. Not a whole lot going on. We figured we'd just take this time out to, do, I guess not like a super long podcast, maybe
Not 2 hours again.
No, not like last time. And we're just going to go over what we do, stuff we like,
Just be nerds for a bit.
shit that entertains us.
Yeah.
So, everybody can see I got, Lego Captain Phasma here from the Star Wars buildable figures.
Kind of blew my mind that it was Lego. I
Yeah.
never had Lego like that.
Well, I mean, if you ever had, Bionicle sets, they use the same kind of stuff, but...
Is Bionicle owned by Lego?
yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they're Lego Bionicles. It was Lego's attempt at, an action figure line, basically.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah, I mean, you take them apart, and they're all ball joints and whatnot.
Yeah.
Right? And I mean, you see on, the rifle,
Oh.
whatever. She can take it. She's tough. It's
Oh, yeah,
legit.
it even has a little Lego piece
Yeah,
there.
it's
That's cool.
legit Lego.
Interesting.
Actual Lego. These parts they've been using since, the Technic stuff, and yeah, all that. But, yeah, they've been doing these, buildable figures, and I don't know, I always kind of wanted to get one, but none of them were super appealing, except for that General Grievous, but I really didn't want my first foray into it to be a prequel dude, if that makes sense. But then they were like, hey, we got a bunch of Force Awakens ones, and I was like, fuck yeah, Captain Phasma. Look at how fucking majestic she looks. All ready to blast some people with this cape going, and the legs that don't want to stand up. Her legs are super long.
Yeah.
Super long.
That's 60% of her height.
Yeah, is just her legs. But that's because, Gwendolyn Christie's fucking tall as shit, right?
Yeah.
So, they had to. I think Captain Phasma supposedly stands, 7 feet tall or something like that,
Jesus.
character-wise. So, she could give Master Chief a run for his money.
Yeah.
But, yeah, then they even include, for more recent stuff, Pachoo! I'll find that later.
It's right here. We're good.
Fires off, the blaster fires.
Is there a spare one?
There is, yeah. It's sitting
it's
on the
awesome.
side. Just in case I lose that one, which I didn't lose that one. It's right there. We know where it is. But, So, yeah, that's something cool. Some Lego stuff.
Yeah.
Gotta stick with the Star Wars theme, because, Star Wars. It's good right now. Slightly controversial right now, because everybody's, after having seen it, enjoyed it, spent money on it, and helped it to become, the biggest domestic box office release ever. Mm-hmm. It was the biggest since Avatar, now it's the biggest ever.
And now, I believe it opened in China today, and now it's probably going to just blast past Avatar overall.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. But, and then everybody else who's seen it a few times and spent all the money on it, they're like, it's just the first one again. But we know why.
Yeah.
We know exactly why, and JJ's confirmed as much now by going on record and being like, this is why it's like the first one, because we're making Star Wars, and we wanted to prove we can make Star Wars, and it's just as throwbacky as I wanted it to be, so,
Yeah. I just hope that the next one isn't as,
Yeah.
beat for beat Empire. So
Yeah, well, I don't think it's gonna be, but...
I don't think it will be either.
So, that's a thing.
Speaking of Star Wars, I just want to go back to the I guess we recorded it last year.
Technically, yes.
The last podcast talking about the missing Rey, and we talked about how, or most of
Wait.
you.
Are we going to revisit the topic?
Oh, fuck off.
I'm just gonna put this over here. She's gonna fall over a bunch more times. You can go on the couch. It's okay.
You talked about how it's not as dire as people think it is. Yes, she's missing from some things, and there's not as much of her. But most of the time that you don't find her, it's because she's been bought already because she's so popular.
Yep.
And that probably proves that if they did have her as much as they had everyone else, they'd probably still sell her out. Mm-hmm. But I just want to take the other side of this and say, it's not because the toy companies are sexist that they take them out. It's because the consumers are sexist. Don't think that multi-million-dollar corporations are going to miss out on a buck. They spend millions of dollars on market research trying to figure out, what are people going to buy. And if people are going to buy the girls, they're going to make them. And it's as simple as that. They're not going to be just like sexist for the sake of being sexist.
They started making Transformers girls finally.
Did they?
Yeah, took them fucking long enough. Okay, so for anybody who doesn't know, for anybody who hasn't gone and viewed my other channel, which, hey, new content coming soon, plug. I do a lot of stuff with Transformers. One day, we may do a quick podcast tour and, like, go around my collection room or something like that. Blow everybody's fucking minds.
Yeah.
Picture like this with his video games and books, only with robots.
×2. Oh, well, actually, okay, if you include the books,
Yeah,
then maybe
including
not.
the books. Like, games and books,
Yeah.
but make them robots. Anyway, back in 86, so 30 years ago now.
That was 2 years before I was born.
Yeah. Back in 86, Transformers the movie came out. And it featured the first really prominent female Transformers character, RC. There had been in season 2 some episodes written that did feature like female Transformers, Elita 1, Chromia, them, you know, all of them, Moonracer. But RC was the first one that stuck around, right? In the 80s, never got a toy ever. It wasn't until last year, I think, that we finally got like a proper RC figure. Like they had done, you know, female Transformers before, like Black Arachnia was a big part of Beast Wars, so they did Black Arachnia figures. They did, for Transformers Animated, RC was actually a character in it again with the same voice actress. Mm-hmm. And they did do an animated RC. We never got our fucking G1 RC, right? Never. So, finally, nowadays, the female Transformers are showing up more in the comics, and they're showing up a lot more in the toy line. And the fans are actually voting for, or voted for, I guess I should say, characters to be created. Right? Like, there was a few fan polls that ran over the last little while, like, over the last year and a half, 2 years, something like that, right? That were, create a fan-made character that will then be in the comics and all this other shit, right? So, they created Windblade. And most people were like, oh god, this is gonna be like the worst fucking Transformers Mary Sue character ever. And other people were like, hey, cool, we have a new character that they're going to make a toy of that is going to appear in the media.
Yeah.
Excellent. And the toy was great. Well, the Hasbro release of the toy was actually kind of terrible, but the Japanese release, which I have, it's great. It's very great. She's a jet, she's just fucking wields a sword, she's got crazy fucking face paint going on. Great stuff. And with that, they launched then another one for Combiner Wars, the line that's just coming to its tail end now, really, where basically everything combined with everything else. You get a combiner, you get a combiner, you get a combiner. Anyway, and they were like, hey, fan-built combiner poll. What do you want the vehicles to be? What do you want their home to be? What do you want the color scheme to be? What do you want, you know? And they, like, the fans voted, and we got an all-female combiner team, so 5 new female Transformers that combined into one female combiner.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so, like, fucking gender representation for, you know, more than just dudes in their robots.
Yeah.
So, that's pretty fucking great. But, I mean, then in the comics, like, they've been trying to be a lot more inclusive. Like, I mean, they've got, like, homosexual romances in the fucking Transformers comics these days. Like,
Gay robots?
Yeah, gay robots, man.
Awesome.
Fucking gay robots. Like, no shit. And, yeah, so they're being, like, a lot more inclusive and shit, and characters that have been around for, like, a long time are finally getting characterizations, and some of them have been, treated as, you know, characters who were female all along, but we never really knew, or characters who, I don't know, like, they're, you know, like, some act as though they have no gender at all. Right. Some are into dude robots, some are into chick robots, some, you know, whether they are dudes or whatever, right? Like, it's
That's kind of interesting. So they have, like, a whole, like, spectrum.
Yeah, they're trying to be a lot more kind of inclusive, you know? Let people of all walks of life and all ways of thinking be like, hey, there's a robot out there for you. We're saying robots. Just sounds weird. I don't know, it's just because it's robots. It's got an I in it. Robot.
Robots.
Yeah, robots. That's how you spell it too. If you want to, you don't have to. Whatever. You can go robot, like old school, but
And it's a good electronic pun. Robots.
exactly. But so like Transformers has become a lot more sort of progressive, where everything else seems to be just kind of skewing away from that. That's kind of the point I was trying to make, was the fact that, like, your Transformers stuff, the characterizations, the characters that are being made and coming out now and whatnot, kind of being a bit more progressive, while everything else is sort of the fiction, the media is all still being, like, look at Star Wars, you got a female lead, you got a black dude in stormtrooper armor, you got a Guatemalan pilot, like, like, the three main people in that movie are not white dudes. Like, cool, right? Yes, awesome. The toys don't really reflect that, but with Transformers, it's a bit different. The toys are,
Robots.
well, that too, and they turn into stuff, so I mean, hey, that's, but, no, like, they're, and similar to Where's Ray, fucking Where's RC, because guess what, I still don't have that figure. It was, the Generations line, which was the one that was just before Combiner Wars started, was just ending. It was at the tail end of it, right? And they released one last wave that had RC and Chromia in it. Two figures I really, really wanted to get. These were just after the Windblade wave. And then Combiner Wars showed up on store shelves, and RC and Chromia just kind of never made it. So I'm really hoping, like, I keep checking winners and stuff like that, because usually they get these later waves or, like, short release waves.
Yeah.
They'll oftentimes get those in, and they'll be like fucking super cheap, like $6-7 or whatever, right? So I keep going, keep checking, keep hoping, because it'd be really nice to get those finally. But yeah, that's my mini robot rant.
Robot rant.
Go with that.